Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I am your host and foreman, Douglas Scoundrels. Today we are assembling the Stitched and Sewn box for the experimental keyword and the Resurrectionist faction. Box contains 6 miniatures, 3 Kentauroi, well technically 2 Kentauroi and a bonus Kentauroi, and then 3 little gassers, which are the gassy gentlemen over here. So we've got a centaur and a fart bomb. Oh, extra art. So, runners on the back, Kentauroi 1 and 2, and there was a third one. I believe that is because they were minion, like you could take 3 of them specifically in 2nd edition, or something like that. And then our little gases at the bottom. So, any guess on which one's going to be more complicated? It's not what you think. Let's look at the sprues. Yeah, maybe you did figure it out, because gremlins tend to be unnecessarily complicated, even dead ones. This is our alt Kentauroi, and then the sprue with the 2, I guess, regular Kentauroi, and then the little gassers, despite being little guys, having just a lot of pieces. Well, we're going to go ahead and do this in box order, so we'll go ahead and start with the regular Kentauroi, do the alt, and then the little gassers. So let's go ahead and look at the instructions for the Kentauroi and then discuss the assembly of the first one. Okay, for our first horsey boy, we're going to grab the 2 halves of the horse body, and then we'll add the back leg, the front right leg, the front left leg, and then we'll do the human left arm, followed by the human right arm and spear, which will connect to the left arm, and finish with the head. So let's start with these 2 pieces. Okay, let's start with the right half of the half of the horse and add the left half. Okay, here is our one-legged horse. Seam looks good. Let's start with the back left leg, then we'll do the front right leg, and lastly the front left leg. Those bits being back right leg, focus camera, back right leg, front, back left leg, front right leg, and front left leg. Got it? Okay. Back left leg. Right now, the front right leg. Such grace. Okay, now front left leg. Last one. Okay, our horse has the normal number of legs, so let's start giving it some arms. The left arm is the one that doesn't have a hand on it, or a spear on that, for that matter. This guy. Then we'll add the right arm and the spear and attach that to the left arm, and then do the head. There is some wiggling despite having a nice tooth and groove to go put the tooth in, but I think that's the angle, and we can obviously adjust it real quick if it's a little out of place with the right arm. So let's add the right arm now. Okay, there's the right arm. Fits in the shoulder fairly well, and then I had to adjust the left arm so to make it fit on that wrist, but not too hard to do. Now let's do the head. Alright, the head is on. I do not like that seam at all around the neck, but this is after I did some trimming. I don't know if it's an issue with the mold or what, but it just didn't look too terribly great. But this is definitely the head, and this is definitely the pose, so might just be a case of second edition model syndrome, which I'm not a big fan of. But anyways, Kentauroi number 1 is done, so let's put him on a base. Alright, the head is on. I do not like that seam at all around the neck, but this is after I did some trimming. I don't know if it's an issue with the mold or what, but it just didn't look too terribly great. But this is definitely the head, and this is definitely the pose, so might just be a case of second edition model syndrome, which I'm not a big fan of. But anyways, Kentauroi number 1 is done, so let's put him on a base. Our first Kentauroi is done. We're going to call this one Frankie. The hardest part for him was the left arm. honorable mention goes to the neck, but there's nothing technically wrong with attaching the head to the neck. It just didn't really seem to fit or look good, I guess, for that matter. But yeah, a lot simpler than I was expecting for a frickin' centaur. I was expecting like 20 pieces, so not gonna complain. Let's move on to the next one. Our second Kentauroi is gonna be even easier. We've got 2 halves of body, hooray, and we've got a left leg and a right leg, and then both arms are attached to the spear this time, so that's just 1 bit, and then the head. So it should go quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's do it. This is the right half of a horse. Let's add the left half. Bodies together. Now let's do that left arm, which is the bigger of the, left leg, which is the bigger of the 2 legs. Okay. Left arm is in, or leg, left front leg. Now let's do the right front leg, which is here, which is a slightly smaller bit. I'm just realizing these legs are not on the spots where legs are on a horse. This is making me uncomfortable. Okay, let's do our arms. It's going to fit in that shoulder hole and that other shoulder hole. Okay, I'm not sure how he's swinging this thing with any effect, but that's where the arms go. Lastly, our head is going to fit right in that hole on the top. Do a good job of trimming it, otherwise it's just not going to fit. And also make sure you don't shave off the peg entirely. Okay, he's looking to his right, and I had to squeeze the 2 halves of the body together to sort of fix the gap between them and the neck, but that didn't take too long for it to sort itself out into a better gap, and now I see this one on the... Okay, I'm going to fix that, but he is done, so we can base him now. Our second Kentauroi is done. We're going to call this one Brown Beard. Pretty simple. We'll say the hardest part was the arms, and that's me just kind of reaching for something to say. Yeah, not too bad. Let's go to the last one. So our third, or the alt Kentauroi, does not appear to have instructions, or at least I couldn't find them. Please let me know if you do know where they are. But it's a simple enough structure. I think we'll be okay to do it without instructions. So we'll again do the 2 halves of the body, and then we will add these guts here. These are guts in the gut hole. And after that, we can cover them up with the legs. So we would just do the front and left leg, the front right leg, and we'll jam the torso on top. And both the arms, I don't think they're both holding the spear. I think they are separate. So left arm, right arm, and then finish with the head. All right, let's do it. These 2 bits first. Like last time, we're holding the right half of the horse and the left half. Horse body. No, let's jam those guts right in there. They've got a distinct shape, so their orientation should be easy to figure out. Alright. Guts inside, kind of. Alright, let's go and do the right front leg first, and then the left. Our bits for that is... That's our right leg or our left leg? Our right front leg. Seam looks fine. Now let's do the left. Front left leg. Alright, horse part's done. Now let's slap that human torso on top right there. Yeah, torso's way up there. I don't like that. That's our seam. So now let's do the arms. Let's go ahead and add our left arm first, which is the one not holding a weapon. And gosh, we can't focus. It's gonna attach right there. Okay, this one was a bit fiddly. I think the best way to approach it is to get it so it sticks, and then look at it from the back and tilt this arm up until the gap fills in. So that's the angle you're looking at from the front. Arms stick pretty far out there. Alright, it's left arm, let's do the right arm. Similar situation. This time with a stick. Okay, this wasn't as nearly as spread out as the left arm. It's a bit easier to get in there. Alright, all we got is a head. Let's add it on the top. Alright, she is apparently looking to the left. At least I'm getting a feminine vibe from this. Does that make her a Barbie Kentauroi? You can leave. I understand. Let's put her on a base. Our third bonus centaur, Kentauroi, is going to be Horselina. Hardest part for her was the left arm. Yep, figuring out the angle on the left arm. That's really it. Well, we're done with the Kentauroi. Let's move on to the gas guys. Okay, on to the little gassers. Don't worry about this missing bit. It was in my box, so I have it over here. We'll just know that that is the arm for this little gasser. So the lettering matches up with the numbering on the instructions, which we'll see soon. However, obviously it's in a weird 1, 2, 3 configuration. So for ease of just going left to right, we're going to start with little gasser 3, then move on to little gasser 1, and finish with little gasser 2. So let's go and look at those instructions, and then we will come up with an order for little gasser 3. Alright, let's work on our little fart bag then. I think the strategy for all of these is just build the body and then do the little stinky poots coming off them afterwards. I don't think any of them are going to be in the way. Or body parts are really going to be in the way of the little stink clouds, so... Anyways, we'll grab the 2 halves of the body, do the left leg, the right foot, the left arm, the right arm, and then the front stink cloud, and I'm actually not entirely sure where this back one is, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. Okay, so let's grab these 2 bits first. Here's our back half, let's add the front half. Alright, 2 halves together. Now let's do the left leg, which is just going to fill in this giant hole here. Oh, he's doing a little kick. Alright, let's do the right foot. Going to fit right on this nub here. Okay, it's cocked just a little bit. And kind of weird to fill in because it doesn't have a solid connection. It'll slide around. What I've figured out is that if I try to close this gap right here, especially behind the back of the knee, it's not fully glued. I'll have to fix that. But if I try and close this gap, it'll make this gap fill in. I tried doing it from the back and wiggling it around, and I still ended up with this gap over here. So that's the one I would focus on to make sure that it's aligned correctly. So let me go fix that. And then we'll go ahead and do our left arm. All right. And if you're having trouble remembering your left from your right, which I constantly do, just look at your own hands. Yep. All right. Now let's do the right arm. Okay, right arm looks good. Now we can do our stink. I'll do the one on the chest first, followed by the one on the side second. Those ones, I mean, you can look at the connection points and see that this is the smaller one. This is the one that goes on the chest, and this one is the one that goes on the side. Just rotate it around until it fits nicely in the hole. Let's see if I can get a better light on that. Stupid shadows. Alright, that's good enough. Now let's do the side hole. Alright. Our first gasser is done. Hooray. Base time. Our first little gasser is done. We're going to call this one Gassy Gary. Sure. The hardest part for him was the little gas clouds. Everything else was simple body-shaped parts. So, more bits than the horses. I think all of them have more bits than the horses, which is still just really surprising to me. But yeah, if this is going to be the most difficult stuff from this box, it's going to be pretty simple. Let's move on to the next one. Our second gasser, technically gasser 1, is next. Same situation. Grab the 2 halves of the body, do the right leg, the left leg, the right leg, the right arm, or the left one. The left arm would be right here. Looks like this. Right or left arm, doesn't really matter. We'll combine the two halves of the head, the top of the head and the face, plant that on top of his body, and then we'll do each of the fart clouds. One being here, the other one, another one being in his neck, and I think the third one is actually, might be at the butt. We'll see. Okay, grab these two bits. Here's our back half, and I can already tell where that third gas cloud is going to be coming out of. So let's add the front half now. Full chunky body. Alright, let's do our left leg first. Alright, let's do the right leg. Thanks, Word, for that. Haha, butt crack, funny. Okay, let's go ahead and do the left arm. Okay. Went in awkwardly, but then I realized that I need to push this down to rotate the arm up to fill in that gap. Okay, right arm. Okay. Let's grab our two halves of our head, put them together before we add them to the model. Right, we're adding a face. I forgot what we were doing. Okay. Bit of a chubby guy. Or filled with gas. Or both. Let's plop that down on our body. Okay, the body is done. So let's talk fart clouds. We'll do neck, tummy, and then that one in that order. Our biggest guy here is going to go in the neck. The one with the oblong-shaped cloud, that's going to be in the tummy. This is going to be our last one. Okay, connection point slides into the hole easy enough, and then just try to make it match the render, and it'll sit pretty fine. So let's do the tummy one now. This one took a little bit of pushing, and I'm not entirely sure if it's in there all the way, but it matches the render. So we'll call it good. Alright, let's do our last guy now. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is one of those ones where they wanted you to add it before you put the two halves of the body together, because that took a good chunk of force, but I managed to push it in there past the curve in the bit. The plastic cement will make it malleable enough that you should be able to do it yourself without having to part the body into pieces. But yeah, make sure it is relatively short, because if you just put it in there gently, it's going to be a lot longer and look weird. Looks like this guy's coming out now. Goody. Alright. Alright, we're done with him. Put him on a base. Our second little gasser is done. We're going to call this one Farty Frank. And the hardest part for him was the stink clouds. Especially since these ones, like, had to get mushed in there. Or entirely inserted into, at least with the bottom one. Yeah, he's probably going to be the most difficult model in this entire box, which is not too bad. Let's do the last one. Our last little gasser is going to be just like the first. Grab the two halves of the body, and we'll do the left leg, the right leg, the left arm, the right arm, and then we'll finish with the gas coming out of the tummy and the gas coming out of the back. Okay, let's do this. Okay, that's the back. Let's add the front. Okay. Body's done. Now, the left leg going right there. All right, and the right leg. All right, left arm. Great. All right. Our stink clouds. The smaller one is going to fit right here in this hole in the tummy, and the bigger one is going to be coming out of the back right there. So let's do the small one first. All right. I don't really have advice for you on the rotation. I guess try and make it look like the render, but the render is kind of a nebulous cloud of lumps. So just put it in, and when it looks good to you, call it done. All right. Let's do the one on the back. The one on the back has a more obvious connection point right there. You can see how it's smooth there versus this one just continues with the bit. So we know that our actual connection point is there. Okay. It's all done. Base 'em. Our third little gasser is done. We're going to call this one Tootin' Tom. The hardest part for him were the gas clouds. They didn't have like long tubular connection points that could jam inside the model. It was just right up against the skin, more or less. So a little hard to get them to stay. And I'm not entirely sure they're going to stay very well during transportation. But that was the hard part. The rest of it pretty simple, just body shapes. So let's look at the whole box. The Stitched and Sewn box is done, containing 3 Kentauroi, well 2+1 Kentauroi, and 3 little gassers. 6 models in a box. It's kind of rare for a non-core box. But yeah, considerably fewer bits for the Kentauroi than I was expecting. Some difficulty with their arms, but I guess more of the difficulty lied in the little gassers with the stink clouds and figuring out how they're all supposed to go together. But overall, easier box than I was expecting. Pretty easy overall, so not going to complain too much. Just wish the gaps weren't so prominent, but that's what happens with old second edition boxes. So pretty good overall. But I have been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build a better Malifaux. Have a good one.